The odds of a random high school baseball player making it to the major leagues are astronomical, as less than 1% even make it to the minor leagues. However, if a player happens to be closely related to someone who played professionally, their odds can shoot up dramatically, not just because of better training, connections, and experience in the family, but because of baseball genes that get passed on, and sometimes a single bloodline can produce multiple talented players who end up playing at the highest level. There have been dozens of father-son combinations who played in the big leagues, sometimes together like Tim Raines and Tim Raines Jr., and other times a generation is skipped, like in the case with Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski and his grandson, the current-day Giants outfielder Mike Yastrzemski. And the Yastrzemskis will be today's first honorable mention. The elder Yaz played 23 years in the big leagues, collecting 3,410 hits, 452 home runs, a triple crown, and an MVP. And his grandson Mike obviously won't reach those insane numbers, but he has been a productive big leaguer for 7 years in San Francisco, hitting multiple walk-off home runs and playing fantastic defense in the outfield. The combo currently have 565 combined home runs and counting. But sometimes a bloodline extends further than just two players. A trio of brothers also deserve a big mention, and they just missed out on the top 10. Ken, Cleet, and Cloyd Boyer. Cloyd was the eldest son and the first to make it to the big leagues, and he was a pitcher who played in parts of 5 big league seasons, but it was Ken Boyer who became a superstar. Ken began his career in 1955 with the Cardinals and became one of the best fielding third basemen in the league, and he could also hit for average and power. He won 5 Gold Glove awards, made 11 All-Star teams, and averaged 24 home runs per season for 10 straight years. He was so consistent, he hit exactly 24 home runs 4 seasons in a row. He even won an MVP in 1964 when he drove in a league-leading 119 runs, and he managed the Cardinals from 1978 to 1980. Despite this amazing career, Ken has been snubbed from the Hall of Fame to this day. The third brother, Cleet Boyer, was a slick fielding third baseman for the Yankees, who would have won more than just 1 Gold Glove if not for the human vacuum cleaner known as Brooks Robinson. Cleet played for 16 years, had 1,396 hits and 162 home runs. The 3 brothers combined for a 91.3 WAR, 6 Gold Gloves, and 3,559 hits. And these are just the honorable mentions. Today we're going to be ranking the top 10 best baseball bloodlines, considering the entire amount of production at the MLB level as a manager or player that the family was able to produce, with bonus points for more members who made it to Major League Baseball, and a few bonus points if you have more members who at least made it to the minor leagues. But while more family members can put a boost to the ranking, pure production is what's most important. And as we know, there are some father-son combos that will be tough to beat. Before getting into the top 10, I have 2 more honorable mentions. The Hollidays. The production at the MLB level from this family so far has mostly come from one man, Matt Holliday. He played for 15 seasons, had a .299 career average, smashed 316 bombs, won 4 Silver Sluggers, and made 7 All-Star teams. But baseball runs much deeper in the family than just his impressive MLB career. His father, Tom Holliday, was a head coach or assistant coach in D1 baseball for 40 years, and his brother, Josh Holliday, was drafted twice, once by the Twins out of high school and then again by the Blue Jays out of college, and he played 2 seasons in the minor leagues before returning to Oklahoma State as a coach. He became head coach in 2012 and led the Cowboys to the College World Series in 2016. But of course, Matt Holliday's kids are the ones who could help this bloodline jump into the top 10 very quickly in the years to come. Jackson Holliday was drafted number 1 overall in 2022, tore it up in the minors, and after a slow start to his MLB career is now the everyday second baseman for the Orioles. His career is just getting started, but there's a ton of promise. But then, Jackson's brother Ethan is expected to be picked near the top in this year's draft. He is number 1 on most draft rankings and has tools similar to his father, including quick and easy power and an amazing glove. Another Holliday, Brady, Josh Holliday's son, is a talented high school player with a bright future as well. Overall, the Hollidays are one of the most impressive baseball families to ever exist. The Molinas. MLB's first trio of catchers, who were all brothers, can be traced back to Vega Alta, Puerto Rico, where their father, Benjamin Sr., helped them practice baseball every day after his job as a tools technician. He also played baseball as a second baseman and knew the game well. The practice paid off, and all three children, Benjamin Jr., aka Benji, Jose, and Yadier, all became elite baseball players who were signed by major league organizations, and eventually, all three had successful MLB careers. They didn't all start out as catchers or plan to be catchers, that's just how it turned out. The oldest son, Benji, was primarily an outfielder and pitcher, then moved to shortstop when he enrolled at Arizona Western College. In March of 1993, a scout from the Angels recommended that he try catcher because he was such a slow runner, but he had a great arm. 2 days after evaluating Benji, the Angels signed him and he entered their minor league system. Despite impressive stats, it took 5 years before the Angels finally promoted him to the big leagues for a cup of coffee in 1998. But by 2000, he was their regular catcher. Benji helped them win a World Series championship in 2002, and he won back-to-back Gold Gloves. He also played for the 2010 World Champion San Francisco Giants, but was traded to the Rangers before the postseason, but still got to play in the World Series, facing his former team as the Rangers won an American League championship. He hit .274 for his career with 144 home runs. When he won that ring with the Angels in 2002, his younger brother Jose was his teammate. Jose Molina was drafted by the Cubs in '93 and called up in September of '99 before signing with the Angels as a free agent in 2001. He became Benji's backup and later signed with the Yankees, where he won a second World Series ring in 2009. Jose played in the big leagues for 15 years, but by far the most successful of the three was the youngest, Yadier Molina, who was taken in the 4th round of the 2000 MLB draft by the St. Louis Cardinals and was in the big leagues by 2004. It wasn't long before he became a superstar, winning a Gold Glove nearly every year. He had a cannon for an arm, an elite blocking ability, pitch framing skills, and could handle a pitching staff, but he could also hit, hitting over 305 times, twice reaching 20 home runs. He hit .412 in the 2006 World Series, helping the Cards win it all, and then .333 in the 2011 World Series, where he won his second ring. Yadier is a future Hall of Famer, and as a trio, this group of brothers combined to reach over 4,000 hits, 6 World Series rings, 11 Gold Gloves, and 359 home runs. Now let's get into the top 10. Number 10, the Boones. For the Boones, their baseball legacy began with Ray Boone, who smashed 151 home runs and made 2 All-Star teams. He was also a member of Cleveland's most recent World Series championship way back in 1948. A year before his big league debut, he had a son named Bob. Bob was drafted in the 6th round of the 1969 draft by the Phillies and went on to become one of the most durable catchers in the game. He won 7 Gold Gloves and doubled his father in All-Star games by making 4. He also won a World Series with the Phillies in 1980. Ray also had a second son, Rod Boone, who played 4 seasons in the minor leagues, but it was Bob who continued the bloodline with 2 sons of his own, Brett Boone and Aaron Boone. Second baseman Brett Boone played 14 years, won 4 Gold Gloves, and made 2 All-Star teams, and is now the hitting coach for the Rangers. While Aaron Boone played 12 years, made an All-Star team, and hit one of the most famous home runs in Yankee history with a 2003 ALCS walk-off blast.
In the 8th inning, leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
He is the current manager of the Yankees. Combined, Ray, Bob, Brett, and Aaron have 634 home runs, 3,139 RBIs, and 5,890 hits. They made 10 All-Star teams and won a combined 11 Gold Gloves. Brett's son, Jake Boone, was drafted by the Nationals in 2017, but went to Princeton instead. He did end up signing with the Nats as an undrafted free agent and played 1 season of A-ball before moving on to the independent leagues, where he continues to play for the New England Knockouts. One other MLB player has joined the Boone family as well, when Braves infielder Nick Allen married Brett's daughter Savannah. Number 9, the Bells. Like the Boones, the Bells make the list not because they have any Hall of Famers in the bloodline, rather for the sheer volume, with 4 generations reaching professional baseball. The MLB bloodline began with David Gus Bell. Gus was signed to a pro contract out of high school in '47 and reached AAA by 1950. That year, he was hitting .400 with the Indianapolis Indians when the Pirates called him up to the big leagues. He became the Bucs' starting right fielder and made his first of 4 All-Star teams in 1953. Gus Bell became a legitimate power hitter, crushing at least 27 home runs in 3 out of 4 seasons, and in his later years, became the starting right fielder for the 1962 expansion New York Mets team. It was in 1951, his second season, when he had a son, David Gus Jr., who became known as Buddy Bell. The third baseman was good enough in high school to be drafted in the 16th round by the Indians, and he became one of the most spectacular fielding third basemen in the game, winning 6 Gold Gloves. He could also hit, crushing over 200 career homers with a .747 OPS. He made his debut in 1972, the same year his son David Bell was born, and he had a second son, Mike Bell, in 1974. Both were also elite baseball talents. And a third son, Ricky Bell, was not too bad either, playing 10 years in the minor leagues, 6 at the AAA level, hitting .254 with 58 home runs, but Ricky never got the call to the big leagues. David was drafted out of high school and signed, foregoing his commitment to Kentucky, and the third baseman had an impressive 12-year career, which included a National League championship season with the Giants in 2002 when he crushed 20 home runs. He got into coaching after his career and was the manager of the Reds from 2019 to 2024. His brother Mike also played third base and was a much bigger prospect, getting drafted in the first round in 1993, but spent most of his pro years in the minors, although he did get a cup of coffee with the Reds in 2000, going 6 for 31 with 2 homers. But that very year in Cincinnati, Mike's son Luke Bell was born, and Luke is a right-handed relief pitcher currently in the White Sox farm system. He's made 2 appearances in AAA this season, and if he ever gets to the big leagues, the Bells would become the first family to ever have 4 generations play in MLB. Number 8, the Alomars. The story of this amazing baseball family starts with Sandy Alomar Sr., the Iron Pony, and his 3 brothers. Sandy Sr. played for 15 years in the big leagues and made the All-Star team in 1970, playing for the California Angels. He wasn't a great hitter in general, but was an excellent bunter, fast and aggressive base runner, and a very strong defender at second base. His brother Tony Alomar was a good hitter as well, who hit .356 with Fresno in the California League in 1956. He eventually made it to AAA, but not the big leagues. 2 other brothers, Demetrio and Rafael, also played some in the minors. Despite all of this, Alomar Sr. likely would have been forgotten by everyone except older fans that watched him and the most hardcore baseball historians, if not for the fact that he had 2 sons who followed in his footsteps, except they were even better. His oldest, Sandy Alomar Jr., became a massive catching prospect in the Padres system before getting traded to the Indians. In 1990, his first full season, he won the Rookie of the Year with a .290 average and a Gold Glove award. He went on to make 6 All-Star teams and got MVP votes in 1997 when he hit .324 with 21 homers. Sandy Jr.'s brother, Roberto Alomar, played the same position as their father, second base, and had an even more impressive career. He made 12 consecutive All-Star teams, becoming an absolute superstar as an elite defender and outstanding hitter. He consistently made dazzling and acrobatic plays in the field, but could also rake, hitting over 309 times and retiring with a .300 batting average, 210 home runs, over 1,100 RBIs, and 474 steals. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2011. The 3 Alomars have a combined total of 5,128 hits in their MLB careers. Number 7, the Waners. For the Waners, it wasn't a father-son combo, but a pair of brothers who made it to the big leagues, and both became highly productive players. Paul and Lloyd Waner were born in Oklahoma to Ora and Etta Waner. Their dad, Ora, played minor league baseball and was offered a contract by the Chicago White Stockings, but declined it. They grew up on a farm, and baseball was their primary form of entertainment. Paul attended East Central University, then known as East Central State Teachers College. As a pitcher, he went 23-4 with a 1.7 ERA, but he could also hit. He signed a pro contract and became an outfielder in the minor leagues. His contract was purchased by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he went on to win the MVP in his second season. He played for 20 years in the big leagues, exceeding a .300 batting average 14 times, leading the league 3 times, and retiring with 3,152 hits and a .333 batting average. He was nicknamed Big Poison. But his brother Lloyd was nicknamed Little Poison, and he was no slouch either. Paul got him a tryout with the Pirates, and Lloyd made his MLB debut in 1927, the same year that Paul won the MVP. They quickly became the best brother teammates in the history of the game. Lloyd hit .355 that year and finished 6th for the MVP, and went on to hit at least 300 10 times, playing for 18 years. He led the league in hits in 1931 and triples in 29. Together, they set the record for career hits by brothers in Major League Baseball with 5,611 combined hits. Paul was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1952, and Lloyd made it in 1967. They remained the only sibling combo to be enshrined in Cooperstown. Number 6, the Niekros. The Niekro brothers, Phil and Joe Niekro, combined for 539 total wins, setting the Major League record for the most wins by a pair of brothers. They were taught to pitch by their father, who also taught them a pitch known as the knuckleball. Phil was born in 1939 in Blaine, Ohio, and signed with the Milwaukee Braves in 1959 for a $250 bonus, and made his big league debut in 1964, kicking off a career that would extend 24 years. He was one of the best fielding pitchers in the game, winning 5 Gold Gloves, but he also baffled hitters with the famous knuckler. He made 5 All-Star teams and finished in the top 6 for the Cy Young 5 times, finishing second in 1969 after winning 23 games with a 2.56 ERA. Phil ended his career with 318 wins and a 3.35 ERA, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1997. Joe, who was born 5 years later, also threw a knuckleball, but could throw harder than Phil and relied on other stuff more frequently. He made his debut with the Cubs in 1967 and ended up pitching 22 years in the big leagues, striking out 1,747 batters. He finished second for the Cy Young in 1979 and led the league with 21 wins, pitching for the Houston Astros. On May 29, 1976, Joe hit his only big league home run, and it incredibly came off of his brother Phil. Joe's son Lance Niekro was also a great ball player and was drafted in the second round by the Giants in 2000 as a first baseman. He showed promise in the minors, hitting .319 for the AAA Fresno Grizzlies in 2006, but his career never took off in the big leagues, though he did play in parts of 4 seasons, hitting .246 with 17 homers. Lance tried his hand at pitching using the famous knuckler his dad and uncle threw. He signed with the Braves for the 2009 season and pitched in rookie ball, going 1-3 with a 5.61 ERA. Another one of Joe's sons, Lance's brother J.J. Niekro, is still active within the Atlanta Braves system as a pitcher and pitched well enough to enter the starting rotation for their AA team in Jackson, Mississippi. Number 5, the Ripkens. One of baseball's greatest bloodlines started with Cal Ripken Sr., who was born near Aberdeen, Maryland in 1935. He became interested in baseball at a young age and was a bat boy for a semi-pro team. He played in high school and was signed by the Baltimore Orioles as a catcher, and he played for 7 years in the minor leagues, making it to AAA, but never the big leagues. But Ripken Sr. got into coaching, overseeing the development of future stars like Jim Palmer and Eddie Murray. In 1976, he made the big league team as a bullpen coach, and in '77 became the third base coach, a role he held until his promotion to manager in 1987. By that time, both of his sons, Cal Ripken Jr. and Billy Ripken, had made it to the big leagues, and he became the first and so far only father to manage 2 of his sons at the same time at the MLB level. Billy Ripken was drafted in the 11th round of the '82 MLB draft out of high school and made it to AAA by '87, where he hit .286, earning a call-up. With the Orioles under his dad that year, he hit .308 in 234 at-bats. Billy went on to play for 12 seasons in the big leagues, 7 for the Orioles, 3 for the Rangers, and 1 each for the Indians and Tigers. He had a respectable career, but it was his brother Cal who became an all-time legend. Cal Ripken Jr. was an immediate sensation for the Orioles, crushing 28 home runs in 1982, taking home the Rookie of the Year award before winning the MVP in '83 with a .318 average while leading the league in runs, hits, and doubles. He helped lead the O's to a world championship that year. Ripken also quite literally never missed a game and began a streak that defied all logic, finding a way to stay on the field for 16 straight seasons. He broke the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig's seemingly unbreakable record and went on to play in 2,632 consecutive games. Ripken made a ridiculous 19 straight All-Star teams, won a second MVP in 1991, and was also an elite defensive shortstop, winning 2 Gold Gloves. The Iron Man retired with 431 bombs and 3,184 hits and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2007. But the professional baseball bloodline continued even further as Cal's son Ryan Ripken was drafted by the Orioles in 2012 out of high school and then the Nationals in 2014. Incredibly, just like his grandfather Cal Sr., he had a 7-year minor league career, making it to AAA, but not the big leagues.
The circle is now complete.
Number 4, the Griffeys. Ken Griffey Sr. was an incredible athlete in high school who thought football was his best sport. But after he was selected in the 29th round of the 1969 draft, he decided to play baseball professionally. His girlfriend was already pregnant with a son who would be named Ken Griffey Jr. Griffey Sr. tore it up in the minor leagues, hitting .348 in 1971 between single and double A, then .327 in AAA in 72. He was called up to the show and made an immediate impact, hitting .384 with 3 homers and 92 at-bats. He quickly became a regular in the lineup, helping the Big Red Machine win back-to-back World Series. Griffey Sr. made 3 All-Star teams, reaching 2,000 hits, and hit at least 309 times. During his career, though, his son was showing signs of being just as good, if not better. He was a multi-sport athlete as well, but dominated baseball, hitting nearly .500 with power in high school, winning the United States High School Player of the Year award. He was selected first overall by the Mariners in 1987 and immediately hit well in the minors. After his promotion, he quickly became a generational talent, establishing himself as a superstar and premier talent. But his dad was still playing as well, and in 1990, Ken Griffey Sr. signed with the Mariners. And on September 14th of that year, the father-son duo hit back-to-back home runs.
And he hits one well to left center field. Dante Bichette. Back-to-back home runs.
What else can these guys do?
Junior went on to make 11 straight All-Star teams and 13 total in his career, and was also an elite fielder, winning 10 Gold Gloves. He hit 630 career home runs and was easily inducted into the Hall of Fame his first year of eligibility. It's clear who the better player was, but there's still one stat that his dad has bragging rights on, and that was batting average. Senior hit .296 for his career, while Junior hit .284. Junior's son Trey Griffey was actually drafted by the Mariners in the 24th round of the 2016 draft, but it was more as a tribute because Trey didn't even play baseball. He was a football player at Arizona. Nevertheless, even with just Griffey Jr. and Sr., this bloodline is pretty powerful. Number 3, the DiMaggios. Although lifelong fisherman Giuseppe DiMaggio and his wife Rosalia didn't know it at the time they got married and started to have children, they must have had some super baseball DNA in them, because not 1, not 2, but 3 of their sons went on to be big league ball players. And not just average players, all 3 were all-stars. The one everyone remembers, of course, is Hall of Famer Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper, who hit .325 throughout his career and set the unbreakable record of picking up a base hit in 56 consecutive games. But Joe's brother Vince DiMaggio was the first to make it pro. Vince was playing at AAA with the San Francisco Seals when he convinced the manager to allow his brother Joe to fill in at shortstop. He did more than just fill in. Joltin' Joe got a hit in 61 consecutive games, a PCL record, and won the league's MVP. He surpassed his brother and made it to the big leagues in 1936 with the Yankees, but Vince wasn't far behind, making his MLB debut in 1937. Vince ended up playing 10 seasons, hitting 125 career homers with 2 All-Star appearances. The third son, Dom DiMaggio, was just breaking into AAA at the time, also with the Seals, and he hit so well that the Red Sox purchased his contract in 1940. Dom played 11 seasons in the big leagues, all with Boston, and he was more than solid, hitting a career .298 with 7 All-Star nods, 618 RBIs, 1,680 hits, and over 1,000 runs scored. If he hadn't missed 3 seasons for military service during World War II, he likely would have surpassed 2,000 hits and been considered for the Hall of Fame. Combined, the three brothers hit 573 home runs, made 22 All-Star teams, and drove in 2,739 runs. Although none of their kids made it to the major leagues, another relative did. Their cousin's grandson, Chris Mazza, who met Joe at a family reunion when he was 6, was drafted as a pitcher in 2011 by the Twins and made his big league debut in 2019 with the New York Mets. He pitched for 4 straight seasons in the big leagues and is currently pitching with the Independent League Kane County Cougars. Number 2, the Alous, one of the most legendary and successful bloodlines in MLB history. This bloodline could have easily been known as the Rojas bloodline, as Rojas was the paternal name of the family in the Dominican Republic. But a scout, unfamiliar with Latin American name conventions, understandably thought that Felipe Rojas Alou had the surname of Alou, and that's what was put on the back of his jersey, and that's the name that stuck. Felipe, Mateo, and Jesus Rojas Alou grew up playing baseball in the 1940s in the Dominican Republic. They were born into a poor family and rarely had proper equipment to play with. Felipe's parents had hoped he would become a doctor to help the family escape poverty, but he was gifted athletically. He excelled at track and field and was going to run sprints for his country at the Pan American Games in Mexico City, but at the last minute, after a player on the baseball team was sent home for misbehavior, Felipe was added to the baseball roster, and he helped the Dominican Republic capture the gold medal, attracting the attention of scouts. He signed with the Giants in 1955, and his parents reluctantly agreed to let him go play pro ball. In 1956, he hit .380 with 21 home runs in the minors and made his big league debut in 1958. Felipe played for 17 seasons, making 3 All-Star teams and smashing over 200 homers. But Mateo Alou was not far behind and made his debut also with the Giants in 1960. Although he didn't have Felipe's power, he was a phenomenal hitter, making 2 All-Star teams himself and hitting over .307 throughout a 15-year big league career. And then there was the third brother, Jesus Alou, who also made his MLB debut with the Giants, but it wasn't until 1963 after hitting .324 with AAA Tacoma. History was made on September 15th of that year when Felipe, Matty, and Jesus appeared simultaneously in a game covering all 3 outfield positions, the first and only all-brother outfield in an MLB game. Jesus played for 15 years, hitting .280 with over 1,200 hits. Combined, the 3 brothers played 47 seasons and collected 5,094 hits with a .292 batting average. But the MLB bloodline would not end there. All 4 of Felipe's sons played professional baseball. Jose Alou was drafted in the 2nd round by the Expos and played 3 years in the minor leagues. Felipe Alou Jr. made it to AAA with the Royals organization, and Luis Rojas played a year in the minors before getting into coaching. He managed the New York Mets in 2020 and 2021 and is currently the third base coach for the Yankees. But it was Moises Alou who became a big league star. He finished 2nd for the Rookie of the Year in 1992 and then went on to make 6 All-Star teams, crushing 332 career home runs. He also played for his father as Felipe Alou became a manager, and Moises played under him with both the Expos and Giants. And the bloodline continues. Felipe Alou's nephew, Mel Rojas, pitched 10 years in the big leagues, retiring with a 3.82 ERA and 126 saves. Mel's son, Mel Rojas Jr., was drafted by the Pirates as an outfielder in the 3rd round of the 2010 MLB draft and made it to AAA. He continues to have a solid career in South Korea with the KT Wiz. And another family member, a cousin of the Alou brothers, Jose Sosa, pitched for 2 seasons in the 1970s for the Houston Astros. Moises Alou's son, Moises Jr., played college ball and then became an international scout for the Dodgers. The Alou Rojas family is definitely one of the most accomplished baseball families to ever exist, and they continue to make a huge impact on the game. Number 1, the Bonzes. When Bobby Bonds played, no one could have imagined he would have a son who could be even better, but that's exactly what happened. Bobby was a remarkable talent who could combine power and speed like few others. He became the 2nd player, the first being Willie Mays, to hit 300 home runs and steal 300 bases. He retired with 461 stolen bases and 332 home runs, but unfortunately did strike out a lot, setting an MLB record with 187 and then later 189 strikeouts in a single season. But he also set an MLB record for the most times leading off a game with a home run in a single season. In May of 1963, he married Patricia Howard, and they had 3 sons. One of them, Bobby Jr., was drafted by the Padres and went on to play in the minors for a decade, reaching AAA. But another, Barry Bonds, went on to become one of the greatest baseball players to ever live. He had a similar skill set to his father with elite speed and power, but was also a better hitter and fielder. After a stellar college career at Arizona State, he was drafted 6th overall by the Pirates in 1985 and was in their everyday lineup by 86. He quickly became a superstar, winning MVPs in 1990 and 92, and then after signing with the Giants, won a 3rd MVP in 1993. He won 8 Gold Gloves in 9 years and won a Silver Slugger almost every season. He was a clear future Hall of Famer by the turn of the century, already with over 400 homers and 400 steals. Around that point in time, as we all know, Bonds became an absolute cyborg video game character, crushing home runs at an insane pace. And of course, much of that success is attributed to PED use. He won 4 more MVPs, broke the single and all-time home run records, and broke all types of home run, walk, and intentional walk records, even finishing one season with an on-base percentage over 600. He ended his career with 762 home runs, 514 steals, and an MLB record 2,558 walks. As a father-son duo, their stats are absolutely insane when combined. But what's even more impressive is the fact that the only 2 players to ever hit 20 home runs and steal 20 bases in 10 separate seasons are Bobby Bonds and Barry Bonds. They are also the only 2 MLB players to ever hit 300 home runs and steal 400 bases. And to make that bloodline even more impressive, Barry's Aunt Rosie was an Olympic hurdler who broke the American record in 80-meter hurdles, and his distant cousin is Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson. The Bonds bloodline might be number 1 even if we don't count Reggie Jackson, but if you want to throw in cousin Reggie's stats as well, 563 home runs, 2,584 hits, an MVP, 14 All-Star appearances, 2 World Series MVPs, well, with Mr. October's help, there would be absolutely no question that the Bonds bloodline would be number 1. But even without Reggie, I think that Bobby and Barry alone deserve to be way up on today's list. So I'm putting them at the top. And that'll do it for today's video, covering some of the greatest baseball bloodlines in the history of the game. Let me know your thoughts down below, and look forward to some other versions of this video. I'll be ranking the top father-son combos as well as the top 10 brother combos. And of course, many of those names we talked about today. Let me know your thoughts on who I forgot in that comment section down below. I do appreciate the amazing support. Thank you so very much, and look forward to more countdowns very soon. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the next one.